Have you ever asked yourself, what if dragons were real? What if those ancient legends weren't just fantasy, but memory? Across the globe, in almost every culture, humans have imagined massive reptilian beasts, flying, roaring, breathing fire. But why? How can civilizations that never met each other share such similar myths? Today, we explore one of the greatest mysteries of mythology, biology, and belief. Were dragons real, or are we chasing smoke? Let's travel back in time. In China, dragons are noble beings, wise, long-bodied, and bringers of rain. The Chinese long is associated with emperors and heavens. In medieval Europe, dragons were monstrous, greedy, and often enemies of knights. They lived in caves, hoarded treasure, and scorched the land. The Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. In Hindu mythology, there's Vritra, a dragon that blocked the rivers and was slain by the god Indra. And in Norse myths, Fafnir was a man who transformed into a dragon out of greed, guarding gold until he was killed by a hero. How do so many isolated cultures imagine dragons? Coincidence, collective imagination, or cultural memory? Let's talk science. Could dragons have actually existed in the ancient world? Large reptiles certainly did. Dinosaurs, giant marine lizards, flying pterosaurs. Even today, we have Komodo dragons, venomous, carnivorous, and terrifying up close. But what about fire? You might be surprised. Some creatures today produce light, electricity, acid, and even boiling chemicals. The bombardier beetle, for example, can shoot boiling toxic liquid from its abdomen to defend itself. So imagine a large reptile with a specially evolved chemical gland. Gas stored internally, mixed with an igniting enzyme. Boom. A biological flamethrower. Fiction? Maybe, but not impossible. Some scholars believe that the discovery of large dinosaur fossils by ancient peoples may have inspired the dragon myth. Massive bones, claws, fangs, too large to belong to any known animal, may have been interpreted as creatures of legend. A jawbone of a theropod could easily look like a dragon's skull to a farmer in ancient China. In fact, the Chinese used to call dinosaur fossils dragon bones. They even ground them into powder for medicine. Could dragons have been our ancestors' way of explaining what they couldn't understand? Let's look deeper into dragon types across myth and fantasy. European dragons' 4 legs, wings, and fire breath, associated with evil, chaos, and destruction, often slain by knights. Think St. George or Beowulf. Serpent-like bodies. No wings, but magical ability to fly, connected with wisdom, water, and balance. Considered sacred protectors. Wyverns, 2 legs and 2 wings, often poisonous, used in heraldry, flags, and fantasy games. Faster, more agile than traditional dragons. Hydras, multi-headed, regenerating serpents from Greek mythology. Cut off 1 head, 2 more grow. Slain by Hercules as one of his 12 labors. Worms and drakes. Worms are snake-like dragons, often without limbs. Drakes are wingless and usually live underground or in swamps. Elemental dragons, fantasy and RPGs. Fire dragons melt mountains. Ice dragons freeze cities. Storm dragons fly within hurricanes. Shadow dragons hide in darkness, feeding on fear. These types reflect human emotions: fear, chaos, wisdom, transformation. Let's explore real stories, or at least legends that were told as true. In 13th century England, a chronicler described a fiery flying serpent in Wales. In Ethiopia, an ancient story speaks of a dragon that guarded a mountain pass. Marco Polo claimed to see dragons in China used to pull royal chariots. And in Romania, old tales tell of the Balor, a multi-headed dragon said to live in deep forests. Were these exaggerations, misidentified animals, or sightings of a real species now extinct? Beyond bones and fire, dragons represent transformation. In many myths, facing the dragon is the hero's greatest trial. It guards the treasure, it guards the truth, and defeating it means rebirth. The dragon becomes a mirror of fear, power, greed, or wisdom. In psychology, Carl Jung described dragons as symbolic of our inner darkness, the thing we must face to grow. So whether real or not, dragons matter. Dragons aren't gone. They live in our stories, our games, our films. Smaug in The Hobbit, Drogon in Game of Thrones, Alduin in Skyrim, Shenron in Dragon Ball Z. We keep bringing dragons back. Bigger, scarier, smarter. Why? Because we want them to be real. So, were dragons real? Maybe not exactly as the legends say, but the biological possibility exists. The mythological pattern is global. The psychological meaning is eternal. Perhaps the question isn't, were dragons real? But rather, why do we keep needing them to be? What do you think? Are dragons myth, memory, monsters, or metaphors? Let us know in the comments. And if you're fascinated by the ancient, the unknown, and the impossible, subscribe to this channel for weekly mysteries and mind-bending ideas. This is TV Head, your AI storyteller. Until next time, keep wondering.